My twin sister's final wish was my husband. Her medical records told a different story. On the night my husband finally told me the truth, he sat at the edge of our bed, staring at his hands and said, "I only did it because I thought she was dying. It was her last wish. I didn't want her to leave this world feeling unloved." He meant my younger sister. My sister, who had moved into our house after a terminal cancer diagnosis. My sister, whose chemo appointments my husband had been driving her to for months. My sister, who had looked me in the eye and said, "Please, if you really love me, don't stand in the way of this one thing." I didn't scream. I didn't throw him out that second. I made one small change. I walked to the file cabinet where I'd been carefully saving all of her medical paperwork, pulled out an insurance letter I'd been too tired to read properly, and realized our provider had never been billed for a single cancer treatment. I had no idea that within a week I'd have a clinic confirming they'd never treated her, screenshots of her faking test results, and enough proof to know that my dying sister had lied about everything just to get into my husband's bed. My name is Sarah. I'm 34, and I live in a mid-sized city in Texas. I've been married to my husband Jason for 8 years. We met in our early 20s at a boring corporate training and somehow made, can you believe this PowerPoint, into a marriage. We have a 7-year-old son named Mason. I also have a younger sister, Chloe. Chloe is 29. If you'd asked anyone who knew us growing up, they would have described us like this. Sarah, the responsible one. Chloe, the dramatic one. I was the kid with colour-coded binders. She was the kid putting on plays in the living room, crying at commercials, making grand speeches about how life is too short to be boring. She bounced between jobs in her 20s, a few months as a barista, a year as a nanny, a spiritual retreat that basically meant living on someone's couch in Arizona. My parents always said, "You're so lucky to have a sister who's solid, Sarah, and Chloe, well, she'll find her way eventually." I believed that too, until the day she called me sobbing. I was at my desk at work, half listening to a conference call about Q3 projections, when my phone buzzed. "Chloe, can you talk? Please, it's an emergency." I stepped out into the hallway. "What's wrong?" I asked. Her breathing was ragged. "I'm at the hospital," she said. "They found something in my scans." The doctor said aggressive and spread, and I can't stop shaking. My own heart rate spiked. "What kind of scans?" I asked. "What did they say exactly?" She sniffed. "They said it's cancer," she whispered. "Stage 4. They think it started in my ovaries. It's in my abdomen now." The world blurred. I leaned against the wall. "Are you alone?" I asked. "Where are Mom and Dad?" "I didn't want to scare them until I knew for sure," she said. "You're the first person I called. I know you'll know what to do." That sentence hit every big sister button I had. I left work immediately. Told my boss there was a family emergency. Drove to the hospital with my hazard lights on when traffic wouldn't move fast enough. Chloe was in a curtained ER bay, hair a mess, mascara streaked down her cheeks. She clutched a printout of lab results. The word oncology was stamped at the top. "I'm dying," she choked when she saw me. "I wasted my life and now I'm dying." I hugged her. Hard. "Hey," I said. "Take a breath. We don't know anything for sure yet. ER doctors don't make final calls on these things. We need to see an oncologist, get biopsies, get second opinions. You might be sick. You might also have more options than you think." She pulled back, eyes wild. "You're in denial," she said. "You always have to be logical. Can you just feel this with me for a second?" I did. In that moment, I was just a sister whose baby sister had said the word, dying. I cried with her. Within a week, Chloe had an appointment with an oncologist named Dr. Patel. I went with her. So did our mom. We sat in the waiting room between bald patients with blankets and people holding folders overflowing with imaging. Dr. Patel was calm, professional. He explained that Chloe had some abnormal lapse. There were concerning spots on an ultrasound. But they needed more imaging and possibly a biopsy before they could stage anything. "She may have a serious condition," he said. "But we do not use the word terminal until we've exhausted options." I glanced at Chloe. She was staring at a spot on the wall. Later, in the car, she said, "Did you hear him? He said serious. He said concerning. That's doctor code for you're screwed." "Or it's doctor code for we need more information," I said. "He didn't say stage 4, you did." She rolled her eyes. "You always need to control the narrative," she muttered. I let it go. Because if I pushed, she'd shut down. Over the next month, she had more scans, a minor surgery to remove a suspicious cyst, follow-up appointments. The pathology came back not cancerous. A borderline tumor, the kind they watch carefully but don't panic over. Dr. Patel sat us down. "At this point," he said, "we do not have evidence of active, widespread cancer. I want Chloe to follow up every 6 months. We'll track her labs, watch her symptoms, and intervene if needed. But she is not dying. I felt like my lungs filled with air for the first time in weeks. Chloe's reaction was strange. She smiled, nodded, said all the right things. Then, outside in the parking lot, she lit a cigarette with shaking hands. "What are you doing?" I yelped. "We just talked about your health for an hour." "It's one," she said. "I almost died. I get one." "You didn't almost die," I said. "That's the point." She exhaled smoke. "Feels like I did," she said quietly. Looking back, that was the moment something in her pivoted. She'd tasted the attention, the care, the gravity of everyone treating her like she was made of glass. And she did not want to let it go. After the not cancer news, I expected life to gradually snap back to normal. For me, it did. Work, school runs, date nights with Jason when we could afford a sitter. For Chloe, it didn't. She started posting vague things on social media. Black and white selfies with captions like, "No one really knows what battles you're fighting inside. Tired of being strong. Every moment is a gift. Don't waste it." Friends flooded the comments with hearts and DM me if you need anything. She shared articles about ovarian cancer. Shared fundraisers for strangers with GoFundMe pages. Shared awareness posts. I gently reminded her to go to her 6-month follow-up. She canceled. "I'm fine," she said. "If it was bad, they would have told me. I don't need more poking and prodding." Then, about a year after that first ER visit, she dropped a new bomb. She came over to our house one Sunday. Jason was watching football in the living room. Mason was building a Lego fort on the carpet. Chloe hovered in the kitchen doorway, twisting her sleeves. "Can we talk?" she asked. "In front of him?" I nodded toward Jason. She glanced at him, then at me. "Actually, yeah," she said. "You both need to hear this." We sat at the table. She took a deep breath. "The last scans weren't clean," she said. "They never told you that part because I didn't want you to worry. The spots grew. They did a biopsy. It's cancer. Real this time. Terminal." My heart dropped. "I thought Dr. Patel said..." I started. "He was wrong," she cut in. "Doctors are wrong all the time. He missed it. It spread. There's not much they can do now except buy me time." I felt dizzy. "Did you get a second opinion?" I asked. She rolled her eyes. "I don't need you micromanaging my death," she snapped. "I'm telling you because you're my sister. I need you." Jason reached over and squeezed my hand under the table. "What's the plan?" he asked gently. "Treatment? Clinical trials?" She shook her head. "It's everywhere," she said. "Chemo would just make me sicker. I don't want to spend whatever time I have puking in a chair being a burden." She started to cry. "I wasted my life," she said. "I never did anything, never had a family, never had a love like you two have. I'm going to die, and what will people even say about me?" She made good Instagram stories. I moved around the table and hugged her. "You are more than you think you are," I said. "We will get through this, whatever this actually is. You're not doing any of it alone." She sobbed into my shoulder. Over the next few weeks, terminal Chloe became the center of our lives. She moved into our guest room temporarily. I set up a medication chart, drove her to appointments. She shaved her head after saying, "It's going to fall out anyway." We had a little hair funeral where Mason stuck stickers on her bald scalp to make her laugh. Everywhere we went, people fell over themselves to help. Neighbors dropped off casseroles. Friends organized a bucket list fund. My parents flew down more often. I noticed some things that didn't quite fit. Her chemo days left her tired, but not as sick as I'd seen real chemo make people. I'd watched a coworker go through it. Her eyebrows stayed full. Her weight didn't fluctuate much. But every time my brain tried to poke holes, another wave of guilt crashed over me. Who was I to question how someone looked while dying? Then came the last wish conversation. Jason and Chloe had grown closer. It started innocently. He drove her to chemo when I had important meetings. They watched shows together when I was putting Mason to bed. He sat with her during some of the darker nights when she was too anxious to sleep. I told myself, she's dying. If she wants someone to talk to at 2 a.m., better it be him than some random guy. One night, after Mason was asleep and Jason was out picking up a lady night prescription for her, Chloe knocked on my bedroom door. "Can I come in?" she asked. "Of course," I said. She perched on the edge of my bed. "I need to tell you something," she said, "and I know you're going to hate it." My stomach clenched. "Okay," I said slowly. "What is it?" She twisted her hands. "The hospice counselor asked me to write a list," she said. "Things I still want to experience before. You know, bucket list." I laughed. "Because what am I going to do? Climb Everest?" I didn't like where this was going. She looked at me, eyes shiny. "Do you know the one thing I've always envied about you?" she asked. "I can think of a few," I tried to joke. "Love," she said simply. You have this steady, real, boring, the bestring love. Someone who shows up. Someone who knows you. I've never had that. Not once. Not in any relationship. I softened a little. You don't know that you never will, I said. People meet partners at 40, 50, 60. She shook her head. I won't, she said. Not with this timeline. The counselor said if there was anything I wanted to feel before I go, I should at least say it out loud. She took a breath. My last wish, she said, is to know what it feels like to be loved like you're loved. Just once. To be held by someone who truly loves me. To feel what you feel when you look at Jason. My chest tightened. I'm not following, I said, even though I was. Her voice dropped. I'm asking, she said, if you would let me be with him one night. No secrets, no lies. Just a gift. From sister to sister. My brain short-circuited. What? I whispered. I know it's insane, she rushed on. I know it sounds disgusting. I hate that I want it, but I can't shake it. I don't want to die, never having felt that, and I don't trust some stranger not to be a jerk. The room spun. Absolutely not, I said. You can ask me for almost anything. Not this. She flinched like I'd slapped her. I knew you'd say that, she said, because you've always had everything. You can't imagine what it's like to be me, to be the one who never gets picked. This isn't about being picked, I said, voice shaking. This is my marriage, my husband, my vows. Your diagnosis doesn't erase consent. She started to cry. I'm dying, she sobbed. I'll never be a bride, never be pregnant, never have a family. You have everything, and you can't even spare me one moment of what you have. Guilt crashed over me, but I held the line. I'm sorry, I said. The answer is no. She stared at me, eyes going cold. You'll regret this, she whispered. When I'm gone and you realize this was your chance to do something selfless. She stormed out. I sat on my bed, shaking. When Jason came home, I told him we needed to set firmer boundaries. That was weird, he agreed when I relayed the conversation. Of course I'd never. That's insane. We agreed. No more lady night one-on-one hangouts. I would be present for all chemo drives when possible. We'd gently suggest to Chloe that she join a support group instead of leaning almost entirely on us. We never got the chance to implement that perfect boundary plan. Because within 2 weeks, Jason broke it in the worst possible way. It happened on a Wednesday. Mason was at a sleepover. Chloe had had a really bad day and was locked in her room, claiming she needed to be alone. Jason and I were cleaning up the kitchen in silence. There had been a distance between us for days. Heavy. Unspoken. Can we talk? He said finally. My stomach dropped. Sure, I said, drying my hands. He sat at the table. Did that thing where he rubbed his face like he was trying to scrub off his own thoughts. I did something, he said. Something I'm not proud of. Something I thought, at the time, was the right thing. It wasn't. My chest tightened. Is this about work? I asked. Money? He shook his head. It's about Chloe, he said. Every cell in my body screamed. No, I said automatically. Yes, he said. And I need you to let me finish. He took a breath. The night she asked you, he said quietly. She asked me too, separately, when you were putting Mason to bed. My skin crawled. What did she say? I asked. She said you'd consider it, he said. That you'd come around, that you'd told her you just needed time to think. She cried. A lot. She talked about dying without ever knowing what it felt like to be loved. She said you have my body for the rest of our lives, and she just wanted this one kindness. She lied, I said. I told her no, clearly. He nodded miserably. I know that now, he said. At the time, I believed her. Or I let myself believe her. Because the alternative was thinking your sister would manipulate us both like that when she's dying. I finished for him. He looked up at me. I thought I was giving a dying person mercy, he said. I told myself, it's just one night. It doesn't mean anything. Sarah will understand one day. Chloe will go to her grave, feeling like someone chose her. I felt like I was watching myself from a distance. Numb. What exactly are you saying, Jason? I asked. We slept together, he said. Once. Last week. You took Mason to your parents overnight. She asked me. I said no. She begged. She said she'd come up with some story to make you feel okay about it. I gave in. The confession hung in the air like poison. You gave in, I repeated. Like she was asking you to help her move a couch, not betray your wife. He winced. I hate myself, he said. I've barely slept since. I almost told you yesterday, and the day before. I kept chickening out. But you deserve to know, you didn't sign up for this. And you did? I snapped. Because what? She cried hard enough? That's all it takes to override our vows? I thought she was dying, he insisted. That doesn't excuse it, but it is. The context. I laughed then. A short, bitter sound. Context, I said. You know what context I have? All of her chemo paperwork, all the times she's used drama to get out of consequences, all the little things that don't add up. He frowned. What do you mean? He asked. I walked to the file cabinet, pulled out the thick folder labeled Chloe, Medical, Insurance Statements, Appointment Summaries, a GoFundMe printout from when we'd raised money for her experimental treatments. I flicked through until I landed on an explanation of benefits from our insurance. Bold letters at the top. This is not a bill. It listed, ER visit, covered. Outpatient surgery for benign tumor, covered. Under chemotherapy services, oncology infusions, radiation therapy, all zeros. Under services received in last 12 months for the oncology clinic she claimed to go to twice a month, nothing. Have you ever actually looked at these? I asked, voice shaking. Because they don't show a single cancer treatment. Not one. He took the paper, scanned it, color draining from his face. That can't be right, he said. She goes all the time. I drive her. To where? I demanded. You drop her at the door and wait in the parking lot, don't you? He nodded slowly. That's how she wanted it, he said. Privacy. I grabbed my phone, dialed the oncology clinic number listed on the paperwork, put it on speaker. Clinic name, this is Bethany. How can I help you? A receptionist chirped. Hi, I said, keeping my voice steady. I'm calling to confirm some appointment information for my sister Chloe, last name. She's a patient of Dr. Patel. Let me pull that up, Bethany said. Keyboard clacking. She said. I don't see a Chloe last name in our system. Are you sure about the spelling? I spelled it. Tried her date of birth. Tried her phone number. Nothing. We have no patient by that name, Bethany said finally. Are you sure she's not at our sister clinic uptown? Different system. She's been telling us she's here twice a month, I said, for treatment. I'm sorry, she said gently. If she is, it's under a completely different name, but with the info you've given me, I have no record. I hung up. My hands shook so hard I dropped the phone. Jason sat back down slowly. Maybe there's an explanation, he said weakly. Paperwork error, insurance glitch. She did say something about a clinical trial. Stop, I said. Stop giving her benefit of the doubt she hasn't earned. I walked down the hall to Chloe's room. The door was cracked. I pushed it open. Empty bed. Closet half open. On the nightstand, her chemo bag was open. Inside, a high-quality lace front wig. A folder with printed lab results all clearly edited in a basic PDF editor once you looked closely, misaligned fonts, weird spacing. And a notebook. On the first page, in her messy handwriting. Symptom list, things to mention. Night sweats. Weight loss, but not too much. Bruising. Fatigue du. Google. Realistic chemo side effects. What does a port scar look like? How long between scans stage 4? On another page. If I die before they find out, no harm done. If I live, I'll deal with it then. I took pictures of everything. Emailed them to myself. My hands were ice. She had lied. To all of us. About everything. Including the last wish that had blown up my marriage. The next 48 hours were the ugliest of my life. I called my parents. Told them what I'd found. They didn't want to believe me. Chloe would never lie about something like this, my mom said. You must be misunderstanding the paperwork. I sent her screenshots. The fake lab reports. The clinic denying any record. The notebook pages. Silence. Then, oh my God, she whispered. My dad, quiet for most of the call, finally said, we gave her our retirement money for treatment. That twisted something sharp in my chest. It wasn't just my marriage. It was my parents' savings. Friends' donations. Neighbors' casseroles. The entire community that had rallied around her. All built on a fiction. In the middle of that storm, Chloe texted. Chloe, I need to stay with a friend for a few days. Things are too tense at your place. Please don't call me. I can't handle drama on top of everything else. I didn't reply. Instead, I did something she never expected. I logged into the GoFundMe we'd set up months earlier. It had raised nearly $40,000 for chemo not covered by insurance. I clicked on withdrawals. They'd all gone to Chloe's personal bank account. Not an oncology practice. Not a hospital. Yeah. I took screenshots. Then I did something I never thought I'd do to my own sister. I called a lawyer about fraud. And then I contacted GoFundMe's support and submitted the evidence. The lawyer I spoke to was calm. Almost too calm for how on fire my life felt. Medical fraud is unfortunately more common than people think, she said. Faking cancer to get money is not just immoral, it's illegal. Between the forged lab results, the non-existent patient records, and the misused donations, she's on the hook for a lot. I asked about Jason. She sighed. As gross as his choice was, she said, sleeping with a consenting adult is not a crime. Unless you can prove he knew she was faking the illness and participated in the fundraising fraud, legally he's just the cheating husband. Terrible, but different. Emotionally, that stung. Logically, I understood. Cheating is betrayal. Fraud is crime. Sometimes they overlap. Sometimes they sit side by side, making your life hell in stereo. GoFundMe froze the campaign. Sent out a blast email to donors saying, "We are investigating concerns about this fundraiser. If you have questions, please contact us." My phone blew up. Friends asking, "Is this real?" Coworkers sending screenshots of Chloe's now deleted posts. A neighbor texting, "I gave her $500. Please tell me she didn't lie." In the middle of that, Chloe finally called. I let it go to voicemail. Her message was a mix of tears, denials, and rage. "How could you?" she sobbed. "How could you take this from me? Do you know how hard it is to be me? I just wanted people to care for once. No one got hurt. I am sick. Just because they can't name it doesn't mean I'm not." That line, "no one got hurt," made me see red. I called her back. "You slept with my husband," I said as soon as she picked up. "You took our parents' money. You took strangers' money. You made my 7-year-old think his aunt was dying. You think that's no one." She scoffed. "You've always been so dramatic," she said. "Everything has to be about you. Maybe if you weren't so cold, he wouldn't have said yes." I laughed bitterly. "You're the one who built an entire deathbed fantasy to justify crossing a basic boundary," I said. "I said no. You went around me. That's not romance. That's coercion." She snapped. "You're dead to me," she spat. "Enjoy your self-righteous little life. One day you'll realize you threw away the only sister you had over some money and a stupid night." Then she hung up. It was almost funny, in a horrible way. She faked death. I gave her a version of it. In the weeks that followed, my parents filed a police report about the financial fraud. Several donors did the same. GoFundMe cooperated, providing records. Chloe was charged with multiple counts of theft by deception and fraud. She took a plea deal. Probation. Mandatory therapy. Restitution plan she'll be paying for the rest of her life. My extended family was split. Half said, "She's sick in the head, not evil. How could you involve the law?" The other half said, "We would have done worse." As for Jason, the legal system had nothing to say to him. But I did. People ask me all the time, "Did you stay with him?" The answer is, no. But it wasn't immediate. We did what a lot of long-term couples do when bombshells drop. We tried to work through it. For about 3 months, we went to couples therapy. We sat in a beige room while a woman with kind eyes said things like, "What did you need that you weren't getting?" to him. "What did you ignore that you wish you hadn't?" to me. I heard him say, "I wanted to save someone. I wanted to feel like a hero." I told myself sleeping with a dying person wasn't really cheating. I heard myself say, "I wanted to believe my sister. I wanted to believe you. I wanted my life to make sense." In one session, the therapist asked him, "If you could go back, knowing she wasn't actually terminal, would you have made a different choice?" He hesitated. That tiny pause shouted louder than anything he said after. "Yes," he said eventually. "Of course. If I'd known it was a lie." I cut in. "But you didn't ask," I said. "You didn't verify. You didn't even read her medical paperwork. You just believed what made it easier to do what part of you already wanted to do." He looked at me, eyes wet. "That's not fair," he said. "I love you." "I don't doubt you loved me," I said. "I doubt your definition of love includes basic respect for my autonomy." Our therapist stayed quiet. Let it land. The more we talked, the clearer something became. I could forgive him as a human being. I could even maybe one day be glad he'd told me, instead of letting me find out some other way. But I could not rebuild a marriage on the idea that my consent was negotiable under extreme circumstances. So I filed for divorce. He cried. Promised to spend the rest of his life making it up to me. I told him the best way he could do that was be a good co-parent to Mason, and never again convince himself that betraying someone was a noble act. We share custody now. He's a good dad. Our romantic relationship is over. My relationship with Chloe is also over. I went low contact at first. Then, after she violated her probation by trying to set up a new fundraiser under a different name, this time for mysterious chronic illness, I went no contact. Blocked numbers. Blocked social media. My parents see her sometimes. They've set boundaries too. No money. No staying with them. Only supervised coffee dates in public. She's our daughter, my mom says. But we're not her victims anymore. As for me, I'm in my own place now. It's small. The couch doesn't match the rug. There's a Lego minefield in the living room more nights than not. But it's peaceful. No one in my living room is pretending to be dying. No one in my bedroom is using last wishes as leverage. If you've watched this far, here's what I hope you take away. It is absolutely devastating when two of your closest people betray you at once. But you don't have to rank the betrayals to know what to do next. You don't have to. Excuse a cheating spouse because she lied to him too. Excuse a lying sibling because she's mentally unwell. You can hold both truths. She may have issues. He may have been manipulated. And still decide you deserve better than people who need you to be the collateral damage in their drama. So here's the line I live by now. No one's last wish gets to be my boundary. Not a sibling. Not a parent. Not a partner. Not even a genuinely dying person. You can say no to. Being guilt-tripped into giving up your body. Sharing your partner. Emptying your bank account. Even if the person asking is sick. Compassion does not mean self-destruction. Now my life is small, quiet, and mine. There's no sister in my guest room pretending to die, and no husband in my kitchen pretending betrayal is mercy. There's just me, my son, our little routines, and the slow, honest work of rebuilding a life that isn't held together by lies. People tell me I'll regret cutting off my own sister one day. Maybe not. But I know this much. I regret every single time I let someone else's drama matter more than my own safety. So if she is dying, for real this time, I hope she finds peace. I really do. She just won't find it in my house again. Because whatever anyone else's diagnosis is, I'm done treating my boundaries like they're optional.